All right, 131, folks. Here's what we're looking at. Lincoln, as he takes over as president, is going to be forced into a situation where the South has seceded, and he's going to push to keep control of federal places. The South is going to fire on Union troops or American troops at that particular point at Fort Sumter. We know the war is going to go ahead and break out. Here are the basics. Lincoln, non-officer, no military training, no real practice with any of this stuff. Jefferson Davis, president of the Confederacy, trained military officer, had actually wanted to be a general and be in the field, but he was convinced to go over and take over as president. Many of the generals and officers in the South have that military training, have the schooling, have whether it's West Point or whether it's Virginia Military Institute or any number of things. They have lots of qualified generals that are very good, excellent tacticians. The North has also got a few, but not as many, and frankly, not as good. Here's what's going to happen. We know that Jefferson Davis, as president of the Confederacy, has training in the military, but he's also smart enough to let his generals go ahead and fight the war. Lincoln, on the other hand, even though he's an incredibly intelligent guy, wants to tell his generals how to fight, wants to tell them when to wage war, wants to tell them how to go about waging war. So one of the things that's going to happen early on in the war is Lincoln is going to be dissatisfied with his generals, because he won't let them fight the war they want. He's going to push, he's going to shove, he's going to coax, which means they're going to lose battle after battle, campaign after campaign, and he is going to keep firing them and replacing them to find someone he's happy with. Eventually, we're going to come up with a general by the name of Scott, who's going to come up with a plan called the Anaconda Plan. Remember the Anaconda Plan, because what he wants to do is he wants to use the Anaconda Plan to squeeze the South. What he wants to do is have this in a fashion. What he's going to do is constrict the South, cut the eastern South from the western South, cut it in half via the Mississippi River. And so what he's going to do is fight two separate wars. One here on the east, and on the west, along the Mississippi River, he has a general over there by the name of, what was his name? Oh yeah, Ulysses S. Grant, who's going to be in charge of what's happening there. And then we're going to have a succession of generals here. What we know is that we're going to go through general after general after general after general after general, and we know that the South fighting on home ground is going to be very successful as long as they're not invading. They do quite well. Robert E. Lee is an excellent tactician, and so they're going to outfight them. And so what's going to happen is Lincoln is going to get desperate. He's going to say, you know what, we need to do something. Lincoln originally said, listen, what I want to do is I want to bring the South back in. I want to bring the Union back together. He didn't want to be the president who was known for breaking the Union. So he said, listen, if I could fix this problem by freeing every slave, I would do that. On the other hand, if I could end the war by freeing no slaves, then I would do that. He thought slavery was wrong, but didn't feel like Congress or he had the power to do anything about it. He's going to get desperate. What he's going to do is he's going to drop the Emancipation Proclamation. Yes, that's the document for this particular unit, folks. But the idea is what he wants to do is he wants to use his presidential powers as commander-in-chief and say, hey, listen, this isn't a congressional decision. This isn't a Senate decision. This isn't an executive decision. What this is a military thing. And as commander-in-chief of the military, what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip them of military assistance, military aid. I'm going to do that by, in all these states that are in rebellion, not the border states, but all the other ones, I'm going to go ahead and strip them of a necessary means. I'm going to go ahead and strip them of their slaves. His captain's going to say, hey, wait, don't do that. We're losing, and it's going to look desperate. And so what he will do is he will write this preliminary Emancipation Proclamation and kind of hold it in his pocket. He's going to hold it in his pocket until the Union has a success. The Battle of Antietam, Antietam-Sharpsburg. One of the things you have to know is the Union and the Confederacy see battles with two different names. One is going to name it by closest cities. One is going to name it by natural landmarks. But the Battle of Antietam is a Union win, kind of. Listen, if you're still holding the ground, if you still own the battlefield at the end of the day, even if you had more people killed, even if you got horribly beat to death, if you're the only one standing on the battleground at the end of the day because the other folks left, you won. We win. We win. And so what happens is Lincoln says, look, here is my opportunity. He uses this as a master stroke at this particular point and say, we're winning. Boom! He's going to go ahead and put the Emancipation Proclamation down. Here's what it doesn't do. It doesn't free all the slaves, but it does make this about slavery. You have to realize Britain, already out of the slave market. France, already out of the slave market. They've already outlawed it. So what he does is he changes the dynamic of the discussion. So now if these other countries from Europe come into play, they're going to side with slavery. That looks bad. What he's done is he's ruined the military and fundamental support from outside. South is going to have to do with its own. He knows that this will only work if they win the war. If they win the war, then the Congress can go ahead and pass something else to help out. What we look at with this is this changes the dynamic. A lot of things are happening at this particular point. We start to push, we start to win. What's going to happen is this. That Anaconda Plan is going to be put into place. What will happen is Ulysses S. Grant will go ahead and he will attack Vicksburg. By attacking Vicksburg down the Mississippi River, he's going to go ahead and finally go ahead and constrict the Mississippi River. He's going to win the West in such a way that we control the Mississippi. We can cut off imports and exports in New Orleans, and we can transport up and down the river. He is going to do so well that Lincoln's going to say, yo, Ulysses, come here, U.S. Come over here, and I will put you in charge of these other troops. And what he will do is this. He will start to push. What you have to know about Grant is a couple of things. Yes, he's got a drinking problem. Okay, he's got a drinking problem, but also he is not a military mastermind. Grant's strategy is this. Let's throw men at the problem. Okay? And if they get killed, let's throw more men at the problem and throw more men at the problem. What he knows is this, is he might not be a military tactical genius, but he's got more people than you do. Literally, you have shiploads, S-H-I-P, shiploads of people coming in from, from Italy, but not quite Italy. Most of it is still Ireland at this point, coming in, looking for work, looking for a job. It's like, hi, welcome to America. Here's your gun. And they're easily replaceable. The South has a limited number of people. So if he can trade them man for man in death and casualty, then he wins. He wins. And so that's going to be the agenda. And what will happen is he will constrict, and then he will take a guy, he will take Sherman. And Sherman's pretty important because what he's going to do is tell Sherman, say, listen, Sherman, what I want you to do is I want you to take the war to the civilian population. The South has supporters. The women, the children, the slaves, whoever else are in the city supporting this rah, 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 we should win kind of stuff. What I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and take a cruise to the South, and I want you to take war to the people. I want you to let them see what war is really like. And so what he will do is he will commence his drive to the sea. And what he will do is his troops will live off the land so they don't establish a supply line, and they will use a scorched earth strategy. They will take everything they need to support their army and burn everything else, whether that be Atlanta, whether that be by creating Sherman bow ties. What they'll do is they will pull up the railroad tracks, pile up all the railroad ties, put the rails on top of it until they're red hot, and then wrap them around trees. He will destroy the towns, the cities, the railroads. He will destroy the fields. He will destroy all the possibility in a 6-mile wide strip all the way to the ocean. What he does is he brings the war personally to the people. It's going to be this that finally cripples the South. We know, hey, folks, if you don't, we know that the Union wins. And they win by taking the war home to these folks. I will let you go ahead and read about the rest of it. You can go ahead and break down the individual battles if you want to. I don't want to do that. What we do know is that the Union wins. And because of that, we're going to end up with 3 brand new amendments before we can bring the old states back in. All right. Thank you.